Good afternoon, everybody. Holly Fogel here, 1 Hour Coach. Coming to you with a buyer conversion class today. And a couple ways we're going to run through this. A little bit of when you already have an appointment. And then we're also going to weave in the process for converting online leads and a system that you can follow until you're actually able to set that appointment. So I'm just going to give you some tips on how to accomplish that. So I'm doing a little bit of a spin on the conversion today. I know that it's a momentum course, and I'm going to weave in some of the momentum material. But as many of you may know from previous times that I've shared this, uh, my Let's Play Ball strategy for working with buyers in a systemized way so that you can elevate the client experience is also very near and dear to my heart because I suffered so much in the beginning of my career at the buyer conversion process. So after I adopted this system, I have taught this over and over again, and I've really been able to enjoy not only the success I had with this system, but also in sharing it with others. So it's going to be a little bit of a shortened Let's Play Ball. Many of you know that this is a 3-hour CE course. I'm not going to be teaching 3 hours today, so it'll be a little bit shortened, but I'm really hoping to give you some ideas and systems to put in place so that you can repeat a high level of service. That is what's going to ensure your client gets the best experience, and experiences are typically what is referred, not necessarily the outcome. So a lot of people help people buy and sell homes. A lot of people don't get referrals. Referrals are awarded based on the experience that you are able to lead your clients through. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So when I talk about Let's Play Ball, it's really, I've used the baseball diamond as an analogy because what we're going to do is systematically move our clients from home plate to first to second to third, and then back to home, put them back into our dugout database, and really start the client relationship from the point of closing. So we're going to be going through this. You'll have access to any of the materials that I discuss in here. You'll also be able to watch this recording and refer back to this as you need to in the future. So what we're going to do is, again, kind of go through this whole process of running the bases. Each leg of these bases is going to have a different strategy. And it's really up to you to dive into your skill set and improve your strategy year over year over year. So those that continue to improve, track, and measure will see exponential growth in their business and in their confidence and in the way you serve your clients. So I hope that you're learning based and always looking to improve what you're doing. That's a big key to having a long, successful business, profitable business in real estate. So being a true professional, we want to make sure that you have systems in place to timely respond to all inquiries, right? Build rapport. This is a huge skill set. I think we need to spend a lot more time on our rapport building skills than a lot of the other skills in real estate. It's really in how you communicate with people, convey and articulate your value to build that trust, and then how do you deliver on it? Right? A lot of the tasks that are in real estate are not very difficult. We just have a whole bunch of them. So the tasks aren't really that involved. We have over 184 tasks, maybe more, that we have to really go through when we're serving our clients. But it's really in how you communicate, how you lead, guide, and protect your clients that really is going to set you apart. Asking questions is where it's at, right? We need to listen more, ask better questions. And what I've noticed in the agents that I have worked with and just all friends that I have that are agents, what I notice is that my high level producers or business owners, however you want to look at it, but the people that have gotten really good at this business are really good communicators. And they really are confident with the process and how they take their clients through this process and the unexpected extras that they provide, that also lends to the success. It's when you become a massive giver on your knowledge, your expertise, your time, your value, your interest, your level of care. Real estate is so much about serving and really meeting each client where they're at and listening and finding solutions, providing that information, and then leading people through a quality transaction as opposed to following the client based on where they're at. So it's really being able to get grounded, taking control, and helping people navigate a very, very stressful and emotional situation where we need to be that emotionally intelligent agent that keeps everything grounded. And the way that you can continue to deliver upon this and create loyalty and create trust and actually do what you say you're going to do is by systemizing it. And that's what we're going to talk about today, getting into a system that you just repeat over and over again. It doesn't mean that you don't continue to improve on it. You might add and delete certain things, but it's really important that everyone receive that high level of service, and that you get grounded in your approach as a true professional in the industry. So if we look at the baseball diamond, before we even get to home plate, we have our dugout. And the dugout is really going to refer to your database. So your database is your gold mine. It's all the people you know, your friends, your family, your current clients, past clients, businesses that you refer, other business people, whatever your lead generating actions are. That's also part of your dugout. So knowing who's in your dugout and categorizing all those people and sorting it and continually growing that is really where it's at, and understanding how to work that system. So that's another whole class that I teach, working by referral as opposed to waiting by referral, is all kind of wrapped up in that. But what we want to do with the dugout, with the people that are in our database or are the leads that we're generating, is we want to make sure that we have figured out 3 ways to actually get those people that come into our world to be able to identify them when they step up to home plate as a buyer or a seller. So if you look at the different ways to generate business, and it's not infinite by any means, referrals, advertising and farming, internet leads, expireds, open houses, FSBOs, postcards, website traffic, Facebook and all the social media, YouTube, video, relocation. What I encourage most people to do is to pick 3. Pick 3 modes to generate business and then plan to focus on those 3 modes for the next 5 years at a time, and really approach those modes with such vigor that in 5 years, you're going to be doing so well at those 3 systems that people are going to ask you to go teach it. They're going to be like, how do you do that? How? You're going to become the expert. You're going to become the industry expert in 3 ways of generating business that you have figured out and you've mastered. It takes about 5 years to really master anything. So when I see folks dabbling, trying this and trying that and trying this and trying that, and constantly moving their attention from one source of business to another, problem with that is that typically we never get really good at anything that we multitask. We get really good at things that we are laser focused and we just do over and over and over again. And we move from consistent to efficient to proficient. That can take a very different timeline depending on what it is. So pick 3, get grounded, figure out every tool and resource that you need to improve that skill set so that you can get to the mastery level of your 3 sources of business. So after we have figured out our lead generating activities, then what's going to happen is we're going to do the activities 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. We're going to just continually do that. We never stop that. It's 10 hours a week of active, proactive lead generating activities that are designed to get people and to be able to identify people as they step up to home plate and say, hey, I'm ready to buy a house. And it might be someone that walks into an open house. It may be a referral. It may be a social media lead. It may be someone responding to a postcard. It's all different ways that they're going to identify themselves, right? And you can use this same system with sellers, but today we're going to focus on the buyer conversion portion of it, not the seller. So here they step up to home plate. Now this is where you go into action. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going through this process right here of building rapport, determining motivation, establishing their specific needs, committing to their timeline, and then in continuing to invest a lot of time. But I'm going to really encourage you to invest a lot of time the minute you receive an opportunity. The minute someone steps up to home plate, the more effective and skilled you are at building rapport and investing your time and providing value, the more effective you are at those three things up front. It's like 90% guaranteed that you now have a client that is committed to you. And we're going to talk about the M, Q, and L. So we're going to dive into that. But basically, this is what we're doing from home plate to first. Home plate to first. You're actually getting hired. This is when people commit to you. And I see a lot of people trying to jump to all the other bases before they've actually even gotten the commitment that someone wants to work with you. And I know that we typically use the buyer brokerage to ensure that now I've been hired, but you can identify the fact that you've been hired even if that document hasn't yet been signed, which of course is woven into this process. That's going to be done at the strategy session. However, a lot of times we want to jump to all the other bases before we've actually secured a working relationship. And that's where a lot of frustration occurs, is that we think people are further along in their relationship with us before they really are. So I'm going to encourage you to really go top heavy on the time that you invest with people the minute you meet them. And this is a skill. Some people are very uncomfortable building rapport and investing time before they know if this person can even buy. Oh, they're not looking for another 9 months. I'm not going to spend any time with them now. And it needs to be opposite. You need to be willing and hopefully excited to explore everyone where they are and enjoy wherever they are in the MQL status. One thing I do want to remind everyone that is so important, and this is where a little bit of momentum comes in, is that this right here, this screen here is your ultimate goal, and that is to get face-to-face, to have a strategy session with every buyer that you meet. So I wanted to put this in here in the beginning because everything we're going to talk about after is designed for you to be ultimately face-to-face having a strategy session with your clients. Now, this is a great little thing to utilize here, and you can weave this in when you meet people at open houses or when you're kind of working those online leads. Really, it works in anywhere, but again, it's getting the appointment. So some of the verbiage that we like is proactive process. So how would you like to use a proactive process that will ensure you get the home you want, and more importantly, want the home you get? That is a key phrase right now, as we are getting statistics that 61% of home buyers are having buyer remorse. And I think we can all figure out why 61% of buyers are having buyer remorse. Several different reasons, and I'm sure they're all near and dear, maybe not dear to your heart, but they're near to your heart from what we're going through. People feel under pressure to make offers. They're missing out on homes that they really want, and they feel later that they're settling because they really missed out on that very first house that they wanted. I think all of us would agree if you pay over list price for something, you're going to have some sense of remorse. I think that's a no-brainer. Most people aren't like, woohoo, I had to pay 30,000 more for that house than what it was listed. Um, I think people after the dust settle are realizing that not having an appraisal, even though an appraisal does not mean that you have, like, it's worth that for any other amount of time than that day. Most people don't think it through that way. They feel like, oh, I paid too much for something. Now I have no assurance that it was even worth it when I paid for it. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm actually looking forward to a more normalized market, a more balanced market, but we're not there yet. So we're just going to deal with where we're at. But it is important to help people make educated decisions so that they not only get the home they want, but more importantly, want the home they get. And so when you put together those type of strategies, you're going to be the professional that people want to be around. They want you representing them. And so again, it would begin with us getting together for about an hour so I can uncover exactly what you need in your next home, define your financial comfort zone, and thoroughly discuss the roles and expectations we would have for one another in a successful working relationship. So again, this slide is just one that I put up here in the beginning because ultimately everything we're going to talk about is the fact that you were able to secure a one-on-one meeting. And so I called it a strategy session. It's whatever you want to call it. But it is important. We can't help people until we actually know what they want. And it's hard to determine what someone wants if you're just going from house to house and you never have FaceTime. You never have the time to listen, to build that rapport, to really understand what's important to them in this move, and to also thoroughly understand what they want in their home. So going through that needs and wants process and then making sure that they don't overbuy. That's another thing. So protecting their finances and making sure that they stay in their comfort zone, that is just music to a buyer's ears. Making sure that somebody is taking the time to listen to them, someone that cares about them. Remember, this market might be crazy for us, but if we're not currently buying a house, it has nothing to do with us. Like, for us to complain about this market, if we're not actually trying to purchase a home, is a little bit lopsided. Right now, it's the buyers that are having the problem, not us. So we need to remove ourselves. Yes, we need to be empathetic. And yes, we need to keep them engaged through this process and manage the expectations. But we don't really need to be complaining about the market. You know what I mean? Unless we're actively the ones buying it. So sometimes we just need to be cautious about the verbiage that we use about this market and about who it's really affecting. So home plate to first. Again, this is the biggie, building rapport. Some people just have a natural gift for it. And as I'm in a new area and meeting a lot of new people in the activities that I'm a part of, it's kind of interesting to kind of identify the people that it's easy for them to start up conversation. They can talk to anybody, and the questions that they come up with, and just in a social setting, has been really fun and to identify, especially as I'm training on this stuff. I'm always kind of looking for, little tips for myself to be able to share with others on what I'm hearing, or to improve on myself, to improve my own skills. But the best thing to do is to make a long list of questions that you've practiced. If you're on the phone, you can have these right next to you. You can laminate these and keep them handy until you get really good at navigating and maybe operating a little bit more off the cuff. There's nothing wrong with having props and having tools to help you get better. That's how you master things, is you help yourself. I can remember I would pay all kinds of money when we had to pay money to get the phone to ring, and I'd get the phone to ring, and then I would freeze up because maybe I would answer the phone when I wasn't at my desk, and then I was shooting from the hip, and I wasn't good enough to be shooting from the hip because I didn't come from a sales background. So I would actually pay money to get the phone to ring, and then I would miss out on opportunity after opportunity because I couldn't get it to the next step. I wasn't good at asking questions. So I literally had a full long sheet of a ton of questions that I could look at as a quick reminder, and I had that laminated. And I kept that with me for a long time. I just had to admit that I needed to work on me. I had to work on my skill set. So there's nothing wrong with making sure that you're helping yourself, right? Get better. Because in helping yourself, you're ultimately helping the client. So this is not an all-inclusive list. This is just kind of to get you thinking about what you may already be doing. And then if you're new to the industry, maybe these are things you didn't think about. So again, when we're building rapport, rapport isn't have you gotten approved with a lender? That's the quickest way to end a relationship, is to ask people about their financial ability to purchase a home. So I would definitely encourage you to keep that at the bottom of the list, where they've kind of gotten to know you and you're taking an interest in them before you know whether they can even purchase a home. What has you making the move? Where do you live now? Are you in a renting situation? Do you have a house to sell? Are you in a lease? Okay, great. So when is that lease up? If the lease becomes up and you haven't secured a home yet, do you have the ability to go month to month? Do you know anybody in this area? Do you have friends or family in this area? Where do you currently work? Is this going to be a good location for your work? How'd you find out about this home? Was it online? Did you drive by? Are you at an open house? How'd you hear about the open house? You always want to ask people like, hey, how'd you find this house? Right? They may be inquiring off of the internet and it may not be your listing. So you need to kind of figure out, how they found out about the house. How long have you been looking? It's always good to have a frame of reference. Are they just starting today? Have they been in this for 6 months? That kind of tells you a lot about, where they are in the process. How have you been going about finding your dream home? So how have you been going about? Have you been using the internet, going to open houses? This question right there is one question that will help identify as to whether or not they're already in a working relationship with a realtor. I'm not going to ask them, are they working with a realtor? I'm going to ask these roundabout questions that will expose whether they're working with a realtor, but I'm not going to put them in a position to easily like knock me out of the list by saying, are you working with a realtor? And they can easily kind of fib and say, yeah, I'm working with a realtor. Or, yeah, I know, or everybody knows a realtor, right? So I don't want to ask that question. I just want to find other questions to ask in a roundabout way that will expose whether they are, especially as I'm trying to build rapport. Maybe they like my energy better than they like the energy of a friend that's a realtor that they haven't really started working with. And we've done all kinds of talk about this. So I'm just going to ask other questions that will they will let me know if they're working uh, with a realtor based on the type of questioning. Do you know your monthly budget? So this is a great question. I think a lot of people think they know their sales price range, but they might not. If they have an FHA loan, there might be mortgage insurance, and it's going to put them in a whole different price range. They may think that they can afford 300, but when they add the HOA and the taxes, they can't afford 300,000. Or 300,000 may be way lower than they thought it was, and they can spend more for what they're looking for. So I always like to keep people in the monthly payment rather than the price. So unless they're paying cash, I'd rather keep them on the payment. People live in the payment, not in the price. So I just like to know, have they thought about their monthly budget? I can always backtrack that into a sales price with the help of my lender. Do you have someone sending you the off-market homes and coming soon properties? So this is a great question, and this is also going to expose whether or not they have a realtor, They're going to say, oh, yeah, Sue, my realtor sends me stuff all the time. Oh, fantastic. I'm so glad that you have a full-time professional helping you through the complexities of this crazy market right now, or of this low inventory market. Maybe not crazy. I'm glad you have a full-time professional that's committed to helping you through the low inventory market. And you can use that sentence for whatever market it is. I'm glad you have a full-time professional helping you through the complexities of a high inventory market. There's complexities there. There's complexities in a normal market. So you would just say, I'm glad you have a full-time professional helping you through the complexities of a real estate transaction. I know there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of moving parts. So I'm glad you have a professional working, looking out for you. Now that's great because now you just articulated you're full-time, you understand the complexities. You confirmed that they're getting these off-market properties. It shows a little bit about you. And again, relationships end. So just because somebody's working with someone now doesn't mean that they'll be working with them in 6 months or in 2 months or in 2 weeks or 2 days. Who knows? I just want to make sure that I'm demonstrating that I'm a professional that knows what I'm doing and I'm full time and I'm asking these right questions. Have you lost out on any bids? That might display or give a little insight into, have they been making a lot of offers? Are they frustrated? What's been going on? It's up to you whether or not you want to kind of go down that road. But I do find it typically gets a lot of good conversation going, and you can see some pain points or maybe hear some pain points of what's going on, and then talk about how you have strategies in place that are helping your buyers win. And I'm sure you do, right? We work on those multiple offer strategies when you're representing a buyer and when you're representing a seller all the time. So constantly improving those strategies and being able to articulate and demonstrate them. What is your biggest challenge with your home search? Again, we're looking for pain points. We're looking for problems so that we can provide solutions, right? So best case scenario, when do you need to close on a new place? Right? So that's going to expose a very important one. When are these people going to be homeless if they don't find something? So it's very good because that kind of question is going to help you in your motivation determination. So first thing we want to do is build that rapport, get a relationship going. Hopefully, and maybe you've already infused of a full-time, a full blown out strategy session meeting. You're kind of working your way through that. Then that's going to help you figure out where they are. Are they an A plus, a B, or a C? And that's what your questions should revolve around. So an A plus would be, you were able to secure an appointment during the conversation. You have a deadline, so you were able to figure out their timing, and you already know that they have either started the qualification process, or they're a cash buyer, or whatever, or they said, I have my pre-qual letter, I'm ready to go, whatever. That's kind of an A plus. That's a best case. I won the lottery at my open house. I secured a new client. I got an appointment. I know exactly when they need to move in, and they're already qualified. So that's an A plus. So you're off to the races, and you now have a great client. You have a meeting set up. You're like 99% sure we're moving on to the next phase, and you're going to be hired. Now, an A would be an appointment, and you know their deadline, but maybe they haven't gone through the full qualification process yet. But you have the appointment, you have the deadline, you're going to be moving them through. So an A will always be attached to appointment. It's just whether or not it's a plus or not, depending on are they qualified or not qualified. So again, we talked about MQL, and we're going to talk about that. B clients would be 30 to 45 days out. You don't have an appointment yet, and you're not even sure if they're qualified, or maybe they're qualified, but you don't have an appointment. So you see how the timing, and then it just depends whether or not they're qualified and you have the appointment. If you have an appointment, they're automatically going to the A slot. And then C's are someone a little further out. So 45 to 90 or even longer, right? And you can change these dates to whatever works for you. So this isn't set in stone or anything, it's just gauged. And then we're looking for again, that MQL. So the MQL is motivation, qualifications, and loyalty. So motivation is that's a big one, right? Need to know their level of motivation. Now, if someone says, oh, we're just looking and we're not going to move until August, or well, I guess right now that would be someone that isn't that far off. We're in May, we're in June already. Oh my gosh. So maybe they say, oh, we're looking to do something in December. That's their motivation. I'm not here to change their motivation. I'm just here to stay connected with them in case their motivation moves up or further. So I'm still going to stay connected with them, but that's going to determine my level of contact, my level of time and attention that they're going to get. But I also know in the back burner that people's time frames can change rapidly. So I'm not just going to set it and forget it and put them on a drip campaign and say, oh, they said December, I'll call them in November. If you call them in November, they'll be in their new house already 9 out of 10 times. So you have to be very careful on that. When we give someone a longer move out, we still need to make sure that we have strong follow-up. So you need to be calling, hey, still call once a month. You call the beginning of August. Hey, it's Holly, just checking in. I know last time we talked, you were working through your needs and wants sheet, and December was looking like the time for you. Are we still on for December, or have things changed? And then you do the same thing. Hey, when we talked, so you need to make sure, because life happens and someone else might swoop in, make an offer, or they click on something on Facebook and they didn't realize that was going to take them to this fabulous person that was able to convert them. And before you know it, they're not working with somebody else. You know how many times that happens? Unfortunately, a lot. So you have to be really careful with set it and forget it. Automations could cause you to lose business. Conversations will ensure that you keep business. So you need to be thinking conversations, not automations. Conversations. The people that talk the most win, and the people that ask the right questions win more. So it's still a balance when I say conversation of asking questions, right? Their qualifications, that again is just going to be established by their buying power. And they might be cash, they might, be getting a mortgage, whatever it is. And then there's loyalty, right? We're going to show you how to create loyalty. But you are looking for MQL buyer and sellers, motivated, qualified, and loyal buyers and sellers. We only have an impact on one area of this typically, and that's loyalty. I'm not going to change someone's motivation. I have no desire to do that. And I really can't impact whether or not they're qualified to buy or sell. Those are on their part. But what I can influence is loyalty. And the way you do that is by providing value and investing time in people, whether you get anything out of it or not. And that's the key. Loyalty is created and trust is built, one, when you do what you say you're going to do, but two, when you become a massive giver of relevant, pertinent, and valuable information to people. When you help people solve their problem of buying or selling, and you do it in a way that is empathetic and you're displaying emotional intelligence and you're providing them with things that matter to them, and you're becoming that person, that go-to person to them because you care, even if a sale isn't involved in 30 days. So I want to have 100 people that are loyal to me because I just put a lot of time, attention, and care into them. Time, attention, and care. Relevant information. I solve problems. I have a website that has value on it. I can provide them with a lender. I can provide them with a landscaper. Hey, check out my hairdresser. And I'll let you know about that tomorrow because I'm going to a new hairdresser. I'm able to provide that information to them on a regular basis, and I stay connected, and I ask questions, and I solve problems, and I care, and I provide the value, and it's just over and over again. You're doing this to 100 loyal people. Then when the people that are loyal, motivation hits, qualification hits, they already have you. You're already the go-to person. And I don't need any more than 100 loyal fans. I don't need any more than that. Because if I'm really loyal to, if I have that loyalty to them and they're not motivated or qualified, They should be sending me referrals if I'm asking and I show them how and I reward them. Ask, show, reward. Ask, show, reward. If I do that with 100 people and all those 100 people come in contact with 5 people a year that need to buy, sell, rent, or invest, I should be able to get at least one warm lead from each person if I do it right. That's 100 warm leads a year. I think I got a pretty good business model. So you've been through that class, the top 100. If you haven't watched it in a while, go check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. But that's what you want to do, MQL. So that's really what Home to First Base is all about. And you got to invest the time. So having that strategy session and investing time in people. And then when you get to first base, that's when you establish the buying power. See, I'm doing all this. So qualifications, they may already come qualified. They may be a cash buyer, or they may be selling a house and investing in that. You already know they're qualified. Now, sometimes you're not going to know because you haven't gotten that far yet, right? And that's when you're going to help them establish the buyer power. Now I've already spent time with them. I've already helped them establish their needs and wants. I've invested time. I've already provided them with a little packet of great information and maybe a pen and a whatever, my little welcome kit, whatever that looks like. So I'm the one that they already feel connected to. And again, I'm going to be there when they get qualified. Now, they may just be a phone call away from being qualified. I don't know, but I'm going to treat everybody the same. And I'm going to give everybody the same opportunity to become loyal to me, and I can become loyal to them. So that's the mindset that we're trying to do there. And the next step is establishing their specific needs so that they don't go out to houses that they would never purchase. So Karen Loftus in one of the training classes said that a real complaint to the Real Estate Commission from consumers is that my agent keeps showing me homes that I would never buy. That is a real complaint. I think she said it was like the number 4 complaint or number 3. But at any rate, that happens because we haven't asked the right question. We have not had them go through the process of deep dive of what is a need, want, and an undesired. When they can provide us with that information, we can build their search around what they need, want, and what they don't want. And that way we're only showing them homes that if it passes the smell test and every other test, they may make an offer on it, right? We want to show people homes that when they come through, they're like, my agent listened. Now their needs and wants may change, and the market is going to dictate those changes because people come out with all kinds of things that they need and want, only to discover that it's not available, right? So then they may adapt their needs and wants, and maybe something that was undesirable before is now something that they'll take because inventory is low, but you need to work them through that process. And you need to be the one that's reminding them, hey, you said that, an unfinished basement was really an undesirable, and you sent me over a property, or you tagged this property that the basement's not finished. So one, I wanted to make sure that you saw that. And 2, if the house is so great and you're willing to take an unfinished basement, let me go see if I can find some more unfinished basements that have great houses that I may have not been sending you before, and we can make that adjustment, and maybe we can go see more home than one. We may have just opened up some more inventory. So when you're completely all in to what they need and want, and you're reminding them and confirming, and when you send properties, you're like, hey, this one has all your needs and 75% of your wants. I have an opening at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Let's go. Let's get in there first, whatever. When you show enthusiasm and confidence in what you're sending, and you took the time to look it over and match it up and confirm what that property has to offer that buyer, they have a whole different level of appreciation for what you do. Because half the time now the buyers feel like, oh, I just got to send the property and they don't care. They just get me over there. Nobody's like engaging about it. Like, oh my God, all right, this could be it. This could be it. It's got Of course, it has all your needs because I wouldn't send it to you if it didn't have your needs, because we've already established the difference between a need and a want. Hey, this one has all your needs. And believe it or not, out of your 10 wants, this has 9 of the wants. Like, I am excited to see this. Can you go tonight? Like, when you have that level of interaction and care about their home search and about what they're trying to do, it's a game changer. You want to talk about loyalty on steroids. You want to talk about referrals on steroids. It's so interesting. I just had a call from a friend who's moving down to Florida. And she called me up, and I had a referral for her, but she said that her agent in Atlanta had already given her a referral. So she was gonna, work with this girl. I said, awesome. That's great. Great. So apparently her husband was down here looking at homes, and over the weekend they, I guess, lost out on a house. Well, she called me up and she's like, hey, I think I might need your agent's number. And I'm like, oh, what happened? I thought you had someone. Well, I mean, she's good and everything, and she's hustling, but we missed out on this house, and now she's going on vacation. Like, I just feel like she's always on vacation. She was getting on a plane before she made the offer. Now I talked about when I'm going to be on there at 4th of July, and now she's going to be away again. Like, I'm not going to be able to get a house when the agents always, and she just went on and on. I'm thinking, yikes, like, does she not have a replacement? Could she not have assured my friend that, listen, we're going to be able to do it? But no, now she's asking me for someone, and I'm a little bit torn because I asked her, I said, well, are you under a contract with her? And she's like, I hadn't signed anything but that one offer. And I don't feel comfortable because, I don't want to send someone else and then have her be like, oh, well, now the first girl, canceled her vacation. I don't know. It's just a very uncomfortable, but that's the timing in this kind of market. Buyers want someone who's all in. And I'm not saying we can't take vacations, but if you're taking vacations, you need to make sure you are letting your buyers know that you have someone else that's all in as much as you are. Like, sometimes we don't articulate the things that would calm down someone, or sometimes we don't even know what they're going through because we're not dialed in enough. We're not staying connected. We're doing everything by email and everything by text, and you're not listening. I mean, she was jazzed up over this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor agent, like, give her a chance. I felt terrible. So anyway, I think it's just interesting. Sometimes we are not looking through the lens from a stressed out buyer who's getting relocated. We're not looking through the lens of that. We're looking through the lens of us of, oh my God, I got to put in 50 offers. So how do you think they feel? So I'm sorry I went off on a tangent, but you all know I do that. I will move on. So having the specific needs, use a criteria sheet. Set yourself apart. I have here is just my an intake form where I have my strategy planner. I get all my intake from the client, their birthday, cell numbers, emails, address, established time frame. Again, this is going to match up to some of the questions that I asked, right? And then I'm going to utilize the criteria sheet. This I'm going to send to them, and they're going to put NWU. I need this, which means I will not purchase the home unless it has this. I want this kind of bad, but I'd be okay if I can't get it. And then like, if it has this, please don't show it to me. And then at the bottom, you can get additional information if they want school districts. Again, it reaffirms their desire to move. Additional if they need more square footage. I'm also going to add in monthly budget. So I have one that's a little bit updated from this. So in the materials that will complement this class, there'll be an updated one, and you'll be able to customize it, edit it, put your branding on it, put your name on it. Everything you provide to clients should be fully branded all the time. Take the time to make sure all of your information is branded. Then you also want to take some time for some expectation setting. And that's when you can really kind of pull out from the buyer brokerage agreement some of the things that it says you're going to do for your client, where when they're reading the buyer brokerage agreement, they don't always see all of that information because I don't know, it just depends on the way how you present that document, on how detailed it outlines what you do. But again, this will have 14 things, and this totally edit, customize, make it your own. But conflict only arises when expectations aren't set or met. So the expectations piece is pretty powerful. There's also expectations in the buyer brokerage agreement about what we expect from them. And we always tend to glaze over that. And I'll even hear agents complaining about something that a buyer is doing or exhibiting that, if they had had the conversation up front, may not be occurring. So again, it's gaining that agreement. So it just depends on your level of comfort on how deep you want to go into the my role, your role. Some people just say, hey, this is all the stuff that I'm going to do for you. And they don't even have a what's the buyer's role. It's totally up to you. It's your business. You decide. But typically, letting them know how it's going to go ahead of time is very, very powerful. And then you'd have their role. So, what we expect from them: be on time for meetings, make an informed, intelligent offer immediately after finding the perfect home, respect the seller's property, inform me immediately if things change. So, again, use your expectations, go into the buyer brokerage agreement and look at what's in there. But people can digest something if it's in a bullet or number format, as opposed to, depending on how long of a time you spend going through the buyer brokerage agreement, that is a mutual expectations document. Then we want to create loyalty. So the last thing we're going to do is we're moving from home plate to first. First is establishing the buying power, is we want to try to create loyalty with our time that's in the meeting. I want to set up a time where I've already built the rapport, I've asked the questions. Now I'm going to have them figure out all their needs, right? I'm going to spend time listening. I'm going to confirm everything that they said they want to be looking at. I'm going to show them how the search process works. I'm going to take them through all of that. And then I'm going to start providing information and value. This is going to seal in the connection of loyalty, because I'm going to be answering questions that they're going to have, but I'm also going to be providing nice, professional marketing materials to back up my business. So the first thing we're going to do is put them on a saved search, right? That's a no-brainer. So if you get an internet lead, the very first thing you're doing is putting them on a saved search based off of generic criteria until we can have the strategy session, but that connects them to you. You need to be monitoring all those properties that are hitting their inbox with enthusiasm, clarification, comments, asking for an appointment time. Really drilling in on those online leads. You have to be very, very active with them and conversational. Video is a huge way to break through the lead generation of online leads. If you haven't used video yet, I encourage you to break through and utilize video. Your conversion rates will go up markedly. So that's something that's very important. The criteria sheet. Get that branded, get that to them either in person, online, put it into their dashboard, however you're going to utilize that. We have the whole FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions, things that are going to come up for them that they may not have thought of. And then you can refer back to, hey, I sent you the FAQs. Now I'm positioned and ready to answer any of those that you want to know the answer to. If you want to edit the FAQs to actually have the answer, you can do that. So you'll get those in an editable format that you can put your branding on it, your information, your name. Very important to have those FAQs. The Why I Work by Referral, another great document, right? Shows them the before, during, and after of how you can serve your clients and reminds them that one of your strategies, which for most agents, not all, is to build a referral-based business. So that's another great document. You may have a buyer brochure, right? Something that you can send via email if you're working online leads. And then at Center, we provide you with the buyer and seller books, $5 a piece. To me, that's when they earn it. They earn the book when they set an appointment and keep it. Now, sometimes people will put that in the mail, right? They've made enough of a connection that they will mail them the book, the home warranty information. You should have a whole buyer pamphlet, a whole buyer packet of goodies that they get. Get the Remax mobile app, the search app that's branded to you. Get that in an email. Tell them to download it on their phone right away. Send it in a text. Have them download you on their phone. Very important to do that. Now there's that extra layer of connection between you and the lead or the person that came to the open house or the person that you just sat down with. So you're going to show them, hey, while you're out and about, let me show you how the search app works. We can communicate through here in real time. So again, having that is huge. A lot of people don't have their own mobile search app. Warranty, lender, closing attorney information, pretty much your support system, your support team, who's on your team. You want to let them know if you have a transaction coordinator, go ahead and provide all that kind of information so that they know when they get you, they get it all. They get from soup to nuts, start to finish, A to Z. I got you covered. Me and my team, we got you. We're going to take care of you. We're going to get you through this process. You don't have to go here for that, there for that, here for that, there for that. I got it all. So present yourself as a unified team that's going to take them through everything. That's the whole benefit of working with a realtor. So they don't have to try to figure it out on their own. So I want them to know right up front, I got to figure it out for you. Maps, schools, local information. You might have some coupons. I mean, you figure out your loyalty package and you get 20 of those built up, and now you got your next 20 leads that earn an appointment. You're ready to go. I always tell people, even if you don't have 20 buyers, put together 20 packets, because now you're putting out to the universe that I'm ready. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to go. You walk differently. You talk differently. You communicate differently when you're actually prepared. See, a lot of people, when they're getting ready and they're not really ready and they're not feeling prepared, they're not really coming across prepared. Buyers can tell that. So they're going to hold back. They might be like, even in the rapport building stage, if you're not all together and have all your stuff, they might sense that. Now, when we're new, we're all kind of new, and you're all going to go through stuff and you're going to lose business. And you're going to lose business when you're experienced 20 years in the business. That's just part of it. So you just have to be okay with improving. But sometimes just getting ready and being prepared goes a long way. So that's kind of that whole conversion process, right? It's all in the follow-up, rapport building, follow-up, providing value, creating loyalty, right? We have motivation, qualifications, loyalty. So giving and asking, it's a process. It doesn't just happen in 5 minutes. It could take a couple of different times if it's an online lead. It could take an hour in a meeting, right? So let the process lay out, but just stick to your system, stick to your plan. And now when they get to first base, now it's all about establishing the buying power. Have your lender call the client, right? When you first have the conversation about all that, you can even start it by saying, the way I, would ask someone if they were qualified would be, hey, are you paying cash or do you need to secure a mortgage? So I'm just going to assume that they're probably paying cash, or do you need to secure a mortgage? I'm not making any assumptions like, oh, are you pre-qualified with a lender? If I just won the lottery and I'm looking at homes and the first question an agent asks me is, are you pre-qualified? And I don't care, maybe I just have $1 million in cash, whatever. I'm going to be offended. It's going to offend me that one of the first questions is whether or not I've been qualified, because then it makes it sound like if I haven't, I'm a piece of dirt and I'm not worth the time at all for this person to continue talking to me. It's just the worst question. It should be like question 36. So figure out 35 other questions, then ask that. So at this point, going through what that process looks like. First base to second base is all in getting them qualified, getting the letter, turning all their stuff in. North Point can get everybody fully approved before they even have a property. So know what they need. This is a great time to explore. Do we need to use Ribbon? Do we need to use one of these other kind of parties that are out there? Do we need to look at recasting a loan? Like there's so many different strategies out there right now that It's not just about, hey, call my lender and let me know when you're approved. You kind of need to be involved and figuring out, are there extra strategies that you can put in place to help your buyers secure a bid? So definitely stay involved, and your lender partner, I mean, you guys should be attached at the hip, figuring out your whole system about when you have them call someone and what it looks like. Work that system out too. Go and have a preferred lender, and they should become your best friend. And you should know how they work and when they work, and they should know what you expect, and you expect them to make the first phone call, and this is what you're looking for, and this is the kind of letter, and you want that lender to call the listing agent when you're putting in bids and say, hey, if I was looking at offers, I'd be taking this one. I mean, that's what I want my lender to do. I want my lender to go above and beyond and to be very involved in helping my buyers secure that property. So that comes with having a really good relationship with your lender, and spoiling your lender and taking them out to lunch and figuring out that process. So again, this is the whole first base to second base. I'm trying to get that approval letter so that we can put in offers, right? Can't put in offers that we expect to win without an approval letter with someone that's already done all the stuff. They already turned in their paperwork, everything's been checked. They know where the cash is coming from, whatever. You have proof of funds, whatever it looks like, whether it's lender or cash, you've gone above and beyond to make sure that you vetted all that and everything looks good. And they have the FAQs, don't make any sudden purchases without talking to the lender. You know, they know where they sit in this process. So that is extremely important. And this first to second base can happen real quick. It could happen in 5 days, 7 days. You know, it's going to depend on how quickly the buyer performs on getting their information and how good your lender is. So again, you're also reaffirming, we've kind of already set expectations, but maybe you wait until this step to kind of go through the my role, your role. You're confirming their needs again. You're confirming their timeline. You have a strategy for this. And you need to get grounded in this first base to second base strategy. So you might have to spend some personal development time each week in your activities management system and get this nailed down into what it looks like. So every time you have a buyer that needs to get qualified, you know exactly what that system looks like with your lender. Once we get the approval letter, we're off to the bases. Now we're physically looking at homes, right? So we're kind of coming out of the virtual showing stage into we're out. They know the process. They find something they like. We already have contract maybe, you know, filled out for the most part, except for the property and all the other stuff. You have the system set up, whether it's app files or Remind, wherever you're working your contracts through, you already have their name filled out. Now you just have to go in, put in the property, the terms, co-ops info, but you have that file ready. So you're not like, oh gosh, I have to make an offer. And if you're new to the industry, you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to make an offer. I didn't get that far yet. Things are happening very quickly. So practicing this stuff with your mentor, with Lori in the huddle time, making sure that you are good to go. You do not want to be in, you know, how do I do this mode in this kind of market. That's why when you don't have a client, you need to be practicing, making offers, writing offers, figuring out the process, how you're doing that. Offers are coming in. Maybe you're getting really good at offers because you're putting in multiple offers, whatever that is. Contracts are now being negotiated and finalized. Daily follow-up with buyers. Once they get to the active stage, for sure, if you're not showing homes actively daily, you should be following up with them daily. Checking on how are they emotionally? How are they going through this? If they're losing properties, send them a personal note. Hey, we're going to find your property. Don't worry. Don't get discouraged. We can do this. So you've got to be really listening and talking, because you're not going to get the emotions through a text message or an email. So make sure, especially when you get to this stage, emails and texts, very minimal, and heavy on the phone, heavy on that voice to voice. And again, you're setting expectations for really the financing that they're going, whichever financing choice and whichever market conditions we're in. So you're definitely, staying connected and providing information in real time about how we're navigating through this. And communication is key. So you are following up and doing more follow-up. It's pretty time intensive on here, but you still can't back out from your lead generation 2 hours in the morning. So even if you have these buyers, remember, you're not working with buyers from 8 in the morning till 10 at night. So you still have to try to get in your 1 to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week of that lead generation, because this buyer will eventually buy and then they get into your lead generation system or lead conversion system after they go back into your database. Then we move on to third base, and now we're under contract, right? So we need to explain the process, set the tone, provide the timelines, use that GAR form, the F76, right, to communicate all the trigger points, call them regularly, stay connected with the lender, the home inspection, all that other stuff that you have to go through. If you have a transaction coordinator, this is the time. Whew, yeah, hopefully you have a transaction coordinator so you can go back to lead generation to get the next buyer or seller. So we don't want to get hung up on all this. We need to know what's going on and we need to be overseeing it, communicating on the heavy lifting, but most of the tasks can and should be delegated to a transaction coordinator. Definitely communication, again, I can't say that enough. This will be a whole strategy in itself. Contract to close, what does your strategy look like? What does it look like? What have you delegated out? We have transaction coordinating through the office. So take advantage of everything you can that will free your time up to go generate more business. No one's ever gone out of business because they had too many leads. So just remember that. Now, once it closes, now they're back into the dugout as a past client. And your goal now is to start the relationship that will provide you with about $117,000 in income over the life of that relationship, because your closing is actually the starting of the top 100 system and how you're going to stay connected, stay in flow, provide value, spoil the heck out of your past clients, and really keep that referral wheel going. Your goal is to secure a referral within 45 days of closing. From the time you get a client to 45 days after closing, if you can secure one referral and spoil them and reinforce them and reward them and keep them apprised of what's happening with who they referred, you're likely to continue getting referrals from them for years to come, provided you do a great job. That's the goal. Because if 45 to 60 days go by without getting a referral, your chances, it's not that it's never, but your chances of getting a referral from that person diminish drastically. So we want to try to get that referral process as quick as possible. And typically they're going to do that after closing if you ensure some of the top 100 strategies. How many clients do you intentionally try to gather from each new client? We teach a strategy of 3. Every time you have one client, we're helping you grow by 3. So we want you to get 3 more for every one. That's how we can help people scale their business. Very, very effective. Tracking is key for doing that. And we have all the tracking tools, as you know. And again, it's the before, during, and after stages of referral building. And we have a lot of teaching about that. And you're going to have a specific strategy plan and materials that are needed for that. So each leg of the bases is going to require you to have a set skill set that hopefully you're continuing to improve and refine and adding in video and enhancing that client experience. When I first got into real estate, we had 3 ways to build our business: telephone, face-to-face, and mail. Now, fast forward to 2021, and we can add in social media, email, video, and texting. So now you have 7 ways to communicate. So every time you get a piece of business, you should be thinking 7 ways to get the word out, 7 ways to grow my business, 7 ways to tell people about who I am and what I do, 7 ways to spoil my clients. That's all entrenched in that top 100 training. And if you'll really sit down and lay out these ideas and these systems and then follow them, you'll do great. You'll have an unbelievable career. And that's what we want. This is a little sheet that we actually used every time we got a client. So we would have when they're at home plate, their name, cell, email, closing date, their desired closing date, right? We had an appointment. An appointment, we typically know their deadline. And then first base, they had to meet with the lender. So who's the lender? Hopefully it's mine. What's their approval amount? What loan type? How many days are needed for the lender to close the loan? Do we need to ask for any closing costs for this client? You can edit these as you see fit, but that's pretty much takes care of first base. Second base is how many times are you showing them homes? What are the dates? Does this person need to only look at night? Can they go during the week? Are they only weekends? That's also a great question to ask in the strategy session. Because if they say they can only look at homes on weekends, you kind of know what you're doing for the next several weekends. You're going to be showing homes because that's the only time they can get out. Do they have any flexibility in their showings? This is also great because it'll add to your metrics of tracking how many times do you show homes and how many properties do you show before someone typically makes an offer. That's another great metric to be able to track. It's good just because it helps you see how you're doing with that skill set of showing and helping people, guide them to properties that do match their needs and wants and their undesirables, and able to help them make offers. But it also helps determine kind of what's going on in the market. So it helps your conversation with future buyers. Then third base, we're under contract. So we have the closing date figured out. When's the inspection? When do all the contingencies get removed? And did I use the GAR F76 form? So again, just a little tracker. Every time we have a buyer, we use this. You can edit it, you can change it, you can customize it. But it's a great way to give you a visual of where your clients are in the process. And it helps you communicate with them where they are in the process, not where you want them to be in the process. I always like to finish up with real estate rewards action. So go get out there, do stuff, right? Figure it out. Get your systems in place, pick 3, get good at those for the next 5 years, work a buyer system so that you can run it through over and over and over again. You improve the level of service you provide, your referrals go up, and you're off to the races having a wonderful, long, profitable career. I hope you've enjoyed this with buyer conversion, and I hope it helps you in your career. If you'd like any of the materials, please reach out. It's Holly Fogel at remax.net, Holly Fogel at remax.net, or one of the other emails that you may have for me. This is information that I certainly hope has helped your business. We will talk to you soon. See ya.